Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to Seoul in South Korea. And just across that body of water in the distance is North Korea. It's a fascinating country. I'm here this week with Hyundai for the Seoul Mobility Show and the release of some concept cars and some new cars to market. But while I was here, the guys from Hyundai said, would you like the opportunity to spend some time in the new IONIQ 9, a car that we haven't yet got in the UK? And that is IONIQ 9, and this video will tell you everything you need to know about the new big 7-seat electric SUV from Hyundai. Yeah, that's, as backdrops go, a pretty good one. I don't think I'm going to be able to replicate that too many times. And the weather here today in South Korea is absolutely beautiful. But I'm sure you are well aware of the Hyundai IONIQ 5 and the awesome IONIQ 5N and the IONIQ 6, both of which have featured on the channel. Well, this IONIQ 9 now takes the all-electric Hyundai range into the 7-seat SUV market. I'm sure you're also aware of the close ties between Hyundai and Kia, and it will be no great surprise if I told you that this car is heavily based on the Kia EV9, their big 7-seat SUV, again, a car that I've featured on the channel. So dimensions-wise, in terms of length and width, it's EV9 size, but the profile and the design of this car, it's less boxy. It kind of slopes down at the back. And for me, it just looks sleeker and a little bit smaller, even though it's not on the inside. The front end of the car is clean. I love this pixel design language that Hyundai have got going on. And then you've got this light element in here, and then it's a really clean front end of the car, all the sensors and so on for the various autonomous driving modes. It's a really interesting front of the car, certainly a very striking design. Now, as you move around the back of the car, what I really like is it's almost like a teardrop shape. The roofline drops down to the rear, makes it look less boxy, more sleek and aerodynamic. And you've got these lovely kind of matte finish aluminium trims around the rear windows. But the actual rear design, I'm seeing some kind of Volvo V70-esque design. I love this light matrix light assembly down here, and then it steps out, and that bit there, very Volvo, which in my book isn't a bad thing. And then you've got very bold IONIQ 9 lettering just there. But if we open the boot, this is a big car. So with the third row of seats down, we've got 1,323 litres of boot space. Now, this particular car we've got today is configured as a 6-seat option. The middle row of seats, there's just 2 of them. They're like lounge seats, spectacular things with a TV display, but you can have that as a bench of 3 seats, which would then make it a 7-seat car. And then there's a little control panel just to the right, and if I press these 2 buttons here, then I can raise the third row of seats and it turns into a true 7-seater. And even with that third row of seats up, I've still got a reasonably sized boot and then plenty of legroom in there for the third row passengers. You've also got, if I'm going to put those seats back down again, it supports vehicle to load, so there's a plug socket there where I can plug in ancillary items like, I don't know, a vacuum cleaner or an e-bike. So there's plenty of practicality and plenty of space in the back, that's for sure. There is a little bit of underfloor storage here, probably more likely where you're going to put things like charge cables. And then up front, there is a frunk or a fruit. And that, it depends on whether you have the rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive option. With the all-wheel drive option, you only get 52 litres of boot space at the front. With the rear-wheel drive option, you get 88 litres, but it's still a usable space. So a very practical car from the get-go. Now, one of the things I'm not a massive fan of are these things. So you've got rear-facing cameras with a little screen on the inside of the door. As an option, I think you can still spec a normal mirror. I'm not a fan of these for a number of reasons. I've mentioned it in videos in the past. First up, if you do get that knocked by anything, it's a really expensive thing to replace. But for me, the biggest challenge with these is the lack of ability to change perspective. When you move your head, the image doesn't move. So for low speed maneuvering and parking, I find these incredibly difficult to use, and I don't think they're great at night time, especially if it's raining. So I probably wouldn't opt for these. They lower the drag coefficient if you've got them, and they give you a bit more range. I'm just not a fan. Now, if you want luxury comfort as a passenger, then you're hard pushed to beat the middle row of seats in this thing. It's like being in a business class seat on an airliner. It's spectacular. You've got this incredible TV screen in front of you, your own climate controls just there, and then this seat is pretty special. Firstly, it's heated and vented, of course, but if I push this little button here, ooh, first it starts to recline, and then I've got a little footrest starting to appear. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. And actually, there's so many controls on here. Oh, look, there's my footrest going up again. Oh, lovely. Really special. As I said, you can have just a row of 3 seats in here if you wanted the full 7-seater, but this, very luxurious. You've got window blinds if you want to kind of block out the outside world. This spectacular panoramic roof makes it feel really light and luxurious in here. It's really very, very nice. And with the jet lag that I'm suffering at the moment, I'm quite tempted just to have a bit of a nap, actually. Oh, yeah, very nice. Let's talk battery size and performance with that view in the background. Now, I've mentioned about the link between this car and EV9. There are some big differences, however. First up, battery size. This car has a 106 kilowatt hour battery, which is big. And it's got really 3 different variants that we can talk about. First one, you could have a single motor rear wheel drive variant. And if that has the 20-inch wheel option, that has a range, WLTP, of 386 miles, which is a lot. Even if we took a little bit off because that's WLTP, you're safely into the kind of maybe 330, 340 miles. Obviously dependent on how you drive and the temperature and all those kind of things. EV9 is 349 miles, so more range than EV9, and I'm guessing that's a lot to do with the sleeker profile, better aerodynamics and so on, and a slightly bigger battery. There's then the dual motor variant. Remember, if you go for the dual motor variant, you are going to lose a little bit of frunk space, but that has 308 horsepower. And on a 21-inch wheel, so a slightly bigger wheel, that will still do 372 miles WLTP. So easily into the 300 miles. And it will do 0 to 62 in 6.7 seconds, where the rear-wheel drive one takes 9.5. So it's a significant uplift in performance. But talking about performance, there's also a 429 horsepower all-wheel drive version of the IONIQ 9, and that does 0 to 62 in 4.9 seconds. This thing, this size of vehicle, doing 0 to 62 in under 5 seconds, that's much more like it. Now, if you've got such a big battery, firstly, you've got lots of range, we've talked about that, but you also want to be able to support rapid charging. This car's based on an 800 volt architecture, and that means it supports ultra rapid DC charging, up to 250 kilowatt charging through this CCS charger. So you should be able to get a good amount of charge back into the car quickly and be on your way. And that makes this car really practical for the longer journeys as well as the short runs where you're plugging into your AC charger at home and you wake up in the morning with your full battery and off you go. Yeah, very useful. Now, it's worth noting, IONIQ 9 doesn't come with an air suspension option, so just normal passive suspension. And I'm really chuffed to say it's also riding on Michelin tyres that are foam filled to reduce noise and also improve efficiency. And what a sidewall. I mean, look at it. Sexiest sidewall ever. I've got to say, this top spec calligraphy is very nice. Pricing in the UK is going to be from £63,000 up to £75,000 for one of these, I guess, plus options. Although Hyundai always give you lots of standard kit anyway. But the materials choice is lovely. You've got this lovely kind of brushed sort of aluminium feel. You've got this nice material here. It looks almost like marble from a distance. It's not, obviously, but it looks really nice. Then you've got this really gently curved twin screen. You've got your main instrument binnacle just there, and then the infotainment screen just there. Very familiar if you've driven a Hyundai, but what I do like is you've got a whole bunch of real physical buttons here to do stuff. You've got your temperature controls, and then the top level interaction with that. It's all about reducing distraction for the driver. When you start looking around, you've got some other buttons here just in terms of drive modes and so on. But when you start looking around, there's storage solutions and interesting things everywhere. You've got a wireless charge mat for your mobile phone just there, a couple of places to put drinks. I've then got a massive bin in here to store stuff. I've got another tray down here which has got a rubber coating on it to put keys and so on so they won't move around. There's even a little drawer in there to store stuff. You've got big door bins to put drinks bottles in. It's a really useful, practical car, very well thought through in here. Driving position, pretty good. Your gear selector is on the steering column just here. That cleans up this central section. And then the steering wheel is quite simple and straightforward. I found something out just today, by the way. There's 4 dots on the steering wheel just there, and that is Morse code for H. Had no idea about that, but that's what that stands for. And then on the both doors, you've got a little screen here which gives you your display for your rear mounted door cameras. Already mentioned I'm not a fan of those. And I'm feeling I must have pushed a massage function, because at the moment my seat's giving me a lovely back massage. So very trick. I've got heated and cooled seats in the front, and in the calligraphy you've got that lovely twin set of business class seats behind me. It's a really nice place in here. Very, very smart indeed. So I think the next thing we do is go for my first ever drive in South Korea. Should be interesting. Driving standards around here are pretty good, to be fair, but the signage is quite difficult to understand, and hopefully I won't get lost. Okay, time for my first ever drive in South Korea. Now luckily I have my lovely minder Kevin from Hyundai sat next to me just off camera, who will tell me not to go somewhere. I don't want to end up accidentally driving into North Korea. But when I did my recent M5 touring video, I did literally first impressions from driving the car, and everyone seemed to really like that. So we're going to do a one-take first in drive impressions of the new IONIQ 9. Now the car's already started. We've put some destination roads into the sat nav. Hopefully there'll be a nice mix. But I'm just going to stick it into drive and get going, remembering I'm on the wrong side of the road and the wrong side of the car, and in a country I've never driven in before. But what could possibly go wrong? First thing about this car, I've mentioned already just sitting in it, is it's a big old car. It's a long wheelbase. You've got a really high elevated driving position. But the front view is actually doesn't make you feel like you're in too big a car. I'm gonna do my best not to keep having a go at the wing mirrors, because I'm not a big fan of them, but let's kind of see how we get on. Driving position is great. There's so much adjustability in these seats. You can get into a really nice comfortable position, and there's plenty of decent visibility of things like the infotainment system and all of the various modes and screens and so on. So I've now got to make sure that I don't go wrong. So we've just come down off of this observation point. Amazing view from up there. Such a beautiful day. But to be able to look out over the water at North Korea was very, very interesting. But now we get back to the driving part. Now, there's plenty of performance on tap in this calligraphy variant. I don't think I'm going to be tapping into it too much. I'm not certainly going to be driving at any huge amounts of pace. This video is very much about my first impressions of the car, but I do have some drive modes here that I can scroll through if I want to. So let me get onto the highway, and I might just go through the various modes just to see. I've got regen braking adjustability on the back of the steering wheel on some paddles, and I've got a real mirror as a rear view mirror, although I suspect that can be a camera as well if you want it to be. Okay, so we've got green lights showing left. I'm guessing that means I can go. The biggest challenge about driving in other countries is understanding road markings and lights and traffic lights and so on. So I'm going to do my very best to not go wrong. And they put these big speed bumps in the middle of the highway, which is bizarre. So now we're out on the road and instant throttle response is there. It doesn't feel sluggish at all. It feels nice and sprightly. I'm going to probably have a quick look at sticking it into sport mode, just to give me the ultimate amount of whiz, although it is a 60-kilometre limit down here, and I definitely don't want to get caught speeding by the South Korean police, because I have a feeling that wouldn't end well. Super quiet. When you're off throttle, I'm only doing 56 kilometres an hour, so there's not a huge amount of wind noise from the car, but the road noise from the tyres is minimal. So the plan is to try and have a mix of different types of roads. So the kind of more urban type roads here, and then we're going to drop onto the highway and do some highway driving. Oh, see, I've just done the normal thing when you've got these door cameras. I've just looked at the camera itself on the door, not at the screen. So I'm going to go all the way into the left-hand lane, I'm guessing. Yeah, into this one, there we go. Yeah, it's the trap you always fall into with these cameras, is you look at the actual camera. You're so used to, it's like a muscle memory thing, so used to looking out through the window at the mirror that's outside the car. When you have a camera and the screen's on the inside, it takes some getting used to. And then for me, it's just the fact that if I move my head, the image on the screen doesn't change. That's my issue with the screens. But enough of those screens, I won't say any more. The traffic's now moving on. We're going to go up here and bear to the left and go onto the highway. I'm going to let this grandeur. Now there's a Hyundai that we don't get in the UK that we should, because they're awesome. It's called a Grandeur, and it's just a really cool looking car. It's kind of like, I guess, 5 Series size. And there's another Kia we don't get in the UK. The cool thing about coming to Korea is you're surrounded by cars, some of which you'll recognise, but a lot of them from brands we get in the UK, but they just don't bring those particular cars over. I'm going to get into the right-hand lane here, I think, because we're going to go right. Steering has a nice weighty feel. And as we come around this corner, one of the things I'm not feeling is, it doesn't feel like it's floating and wallowing around. It seems like it's a firm ride in terms of body roll, but it's not a jarring ride in terms of comfort. So accelerate there, it's got plenty of go. It's got plenty of performance, this car. Again, so we're at a 90 kilometre an hour limit on the motorway, and I think we'll keep it to that. On the left-hand side of the road, there's this body of water, and then the other side of that body of water is North Korea. So you can kind of see along the road there's barbed wire and observation posts and so on. It's a very surreal place. So now at highway speeds, the thing that is most noticeable for me is how quiet this car is. Very little wind noise, very little road noise. And even though it's not got air suspension, it's just a really nice ride, a really nice smooth ride. And the road surfaces since I've been here remind me very much of home. They're not the best, there's some potholes every now and again. So it's very sort of similar road style and feel to at home, and this car deals with them really, really easily. All of my displays, I'm using the native sat-nav. That seems really straightforward and nice and clear. The head-up display, again, is feeding the sat-nav information, so I've got loads of information on my head-up display, my speed, my current speed limit, which lane I need to be in, how far till the next turning, and so on. So I don't really need to do anything other than look out the front window and see where I'm going. Now, this car has 83% of its battery remaining and an indicated range of 525 kilometres, which is probably about right, actually, if you think sort of the numbers we were thinking about, although I was working in miles before. That is a significant amount of range. So, current now, oh no, here we go. We're going to have to do some conversions here, people. So, my current average economy is 3.9 kilometres per kilowatt hour. So, miles per kilowatt hour. What's that, 2, I guess? I could be better, but I'm sure this car's doing lots of local journeys and so on. Now, I'm going to go for the fact that undertaking in South Korea is not allowed, and I'm going to go past this guy. Kevin's nodding, he's like, yeah, don't undertake. So if we just come out here and just... Yeah, there's a huge amount of untapped performance when you're just driving along. Oh wow, I wonder if you can pick that up from my front-facing camera. There's like a ship on the hillside just there that I'm guessing is some kind of restaurant or venue, dressed up to look like a ship with sails and stuff. That is so cool. So yeah, all in all, in a very short window of time, I'd love to spend more time with this car. I think for me, the things I'd like to test out, I'd love to see just how much stuff I could get in the back. It's a hugely practical space in there. Definitely going to be able to get my bike in the boot. And I'd love to take it on a longer journey and really put to test that range, because I think for me, a big 6 or 7 seat family car where you can comfortably get 300 to maybe 350 miles, especially in the summer, might be a little bit less in the winter, that opens up this car as a really usable, practical car. And I think, just like Kia have done with EV9, I think this will go toe-to-toe with some of the premium SUVs on the marketplace. People will come out of the likes of Range Rover, I'm sure, as they've done for EV9, because those platforms don't have an all-electric option. So if you want an all-electric option, maybe because of the reduced benefit in kind as a company vehicle, as a salary sacrifice vehicle, and you've got a larger family, that's where this size of car really comes into its own. So if you can do 300, 350 miles, that means you can go on a long journey with the family, and when you do pull over, it supports the ultra rapid charging, so you're going to be able to replenish that mileage back into the battery pack over a sandwich and a cup of tea. And I think that makes this car a very interesting proposition. But I hope you've enjoyed that one from South Korea. When I first got the invite here, I didn't realise I was going to get the opportunity to drive this car, and I jumped at it with both feet because I really wanted to experience it. But if you enjoyed that one, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film. I'm going to now find a place to pull over, stop my cameras, and then Kevin can drive us back into Seoul, because I don't fancy driving in the built-up traffic, mate. You can do that if that's okay. I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.